Welcome back to Object-Oriented Programming through C++. Previous video we discussed about the OOPS principles, that is basic OOPS concepts. Now let us see in detail about the structure of a C++ program. So before we start the program, let us know what is a software. So software is a collection of program. It can be of two types, application software or system software. So our C++, everything is system software. Application softwares are such as Visual Basic. So generally programming is a set of instructions. So these instructions will tell the compiler to operate or execute the task which is assigned or designed in the program. So C was developed by Dennis Ritchie in the year 1980, 1979 and 1980s. It is a structure oriented program or procedure oriented program. So the focus is more on functions. Rather our object oriented programming in that which focuses more on data. So in C we refer collection of information and they are grouped as statements which we refer them as function. So data is the information and function is the group of statements and it will always return one value. Coming to C++, it was developed by Jarny Stroustrup in the year 1983. It is based on object-oriented principles that in which this approach can create a partition where both the data and function can be combined or binded together. So let us go through few C++ terms. Here also we have data, which is the collection of information, and function. Here we will return one value, and again it is a group of statement. Two new terms are used in C++, which is not available in C program. One is class and the other one is object. We know that the combination of data and functions which are binded together inside a group is referred as a class. Object is the instance of the class which will be created outside the class, and with the help of these objects we can retrieve the elements that are available inside the class. So the data and function inside a class are called as members of the class, and to access those members we need to use this object. Once instance is created, the memory will be allocated. Until then it is not instantiated. So coming to the structure of a C++ program, initially we will have a C++ header, that is as we had hash include stdio.h in C program, here we will have hash include iostream.h as the header file, the primary file. And then we will have a class definition, as we know that class is an abstract data type which will say about what we are going to do with these elements, and it will not give us clarity of how it will be implemented. So that feature we call them as abstraction. And then followed by member functions. Member function definition may or may not be inside the function, but it has to be declared inside the function. Then we have our main function. So as after all these elements, our main function is created. So that is why we say object-oriented programming as a bottom-up approach. Whereas in C program, we will call it as top-down approach because the program starts from the main function. In both the cases, execution starts from main only, but the order of writing the program is differing. So in C program, it is written at the top of the program right after the header files, whereas in C++, after creation of all the abstract things, the main function is created. So this is the header file, that is hash include iostream.h. So iostream, the purpose of this header file is to do the basic functionalities like to store input and execute the output. So hash is the preprocessor, include is the keyword, and IO is used for input and output function. Stream refers to the sequence of bytes that are transmitted during the process, and .h is the header file. The two other majorly used header files are conio.h and map.h. So these three are the mostly used header files in most of the programs. Conio is intentionally used for, we call it as console input output. It is used to store the clear screen and getch command statements, whereas math.h is specifically used for mathematical functions, square root, sine, cos, etc., and many more are there. So in order to access those functions from the library functions, this math.h header file has to be included. Now coming to basic class declaration program. So here class is the keyword, then we have followed by a class name. That class name, we will follow the same identifier rules as we do for variables. Then we have access specifier. This private and public are referred as access specifier, which says that what is the limitation of the how independent is the data to be retrieved. So they are referred as access specifier. If we make it private, it is accessible only inside the class. That is, this refers the scope of the variables and functions. Public means they are globally accessible. We can retrieve and call them wherever and whenever we require. So the schematic structure will be like, all the classes will be instantiated by an object and a functions will be there. They both are binded together, and with them we can execute the task. So class is the keyword followed by a class name, and at the end of the creation of class, we need to terminate it with a semicolon, which is a mandatory rule. Next, member functions. So member function declaration is like, you'll have the name of the function, that is return type. Data type will be there first of all. Then name of the function, and the parameter passing is optional. So we may or may not have parameters. If at all we use parameters, we have to specify its return type or the data type of that parameter. And function call will be terminated with a semicolon. So the return type will be mostly void or integer. If at all integer, it will return, by default the return type is integer. If we use void, we need not use the keyword return and it will not return anything. It is a null data type. Then we have function name, which is a user defined name. Then data type, mostly integers are used. And then variable name, which is also user defined data type. So this is function declaration. So it will be like return type, function name, data type, variable name. This is optional, and then body of the function will be there. While defining the function, we will not be using the semicolon at the end of the statement. So this is the main function. After creation of class and object, we have to create the object with the name of the class, and then object with the dot operator we can access the function name. So the object is the entity that ties both the classes and functions. So main is the used to access the all the main function is the place where the actual execution takes place. It is always in public access, and it is also used to access the functions that are available inside the class. Let us go through this simple example. Hash include iostream.h. Then we have name of the class as display. In private, I have declared three variables, that is ABC. So they are accessible only for this class. Then public void display of. This cin operator is used to access the or collect the input from the data from the user. To access runtime data, we can use this cin keyword followed by greater symbol. Double times we have to use the greater symbol in order to accept the value from the user. So we can, if we want two values, we can write in a single statement like this. Cin two greater symbol A, then again greater symbol B. Or if you want, you can break the statement and you can write twice as cin A, then cin B. Then this is just addition of two numbers. Then we have performed the addition. Cout is used to display the value of the or the resultant value. where printf statement is used in C program. Here we are using C out. So scanf is in C program is equivalent to C in here. Similarly, C out in C++ is equivalent to printf in C program. Then the class, as we discussed earlier, class should be always be terminated by a semicolon. And the functions also should have a block. So all the blocks should be represented by a flower braces. Then comes the main function. Here we have not specified anything, so the main function will definitely return a value which is of integer. But otherwise we can go for void main. Here we have created an object for the class. Our class name is display. So display followed by object name. Then object dot display the function name, that is dis is our function name. So d dot dis of. By calling this function, it will collect the compiler will go to the called function, that is the function definition inside the class. There it will collect values, two values from the user, then perform the addition, then output will be displayed. So once this is done, it will be returned to d.dis so that our output will be executed. Coming to the data types in C++. So data type is the keyword that is used to identify the type of data. So it is used for storing our input. That input will always be into the RAM, main memory. So the currently executing programs are always in the RAM memory, which is the main memory, and those which are not regularly used will be in the secondary memory, that is hard disk. In general, we have three types of data types in C++. They are fundamental or primitive data types, derived data types, and user-defined data type. So these are the majorly used data types. Coming to primitive data type, here we have four major things. One is integer, then float, then double, then char. Char should be written as char, not as full. So these are the keywords. Int is used for any numbers, any whole numbers and positive values, and it cannot be used with the decimal value. It should not be used with the decimal value. Next comes the float data type, which is about using decimal value. And next is double. Double is also possible to use decimal values, but the storage area will allocated using double data type will be more. Char is used to hold characters, that is single letter alphabets, not a group of statement, group of characters. It is a single letter we can hold here. The space allotted for char is 1 byte. The space allotted for int variable is 2 bytes. 4 bytes. A float is 8 bytes. Likewise, the storage will be created. Coming to user defined data types, they allow us to store multiple values of either same type or different type, and they can be used whose variable can hold more than different one value of different dissimilar type. So user defined data types also includes about functions also, because functions are created by users. So user defined function also comes under this, and the major thing is structure and union. So structure and union, as we have as you have gone through in C programming, the purpose of this is to collect elements of different data types under a single common name, and it should be created like a class and terminated with a semicolon, and you can create a structure variable to access the elements inside the structure. Similarly for union, the difference between structure and union is that for structure, for each of the element that you declare, a space will be allocated, whereas for in the case of union, you can minimize the space allotted by creating only the space for the largest data type available among the union. So this will be the difference between structure and union. Now coming to our data type modifiers. So in integer or float or whatever it is, we can also make them more specific by using these keywords like signed, unsigned, long and short. So signed, unsigned are for representing positive and negative values. Long and short are used for the limitation of the amount of values allotted to that variable, specifies the size of the variable. So let us see a small simple program. Hash include IO stream. If you are not using .h, we can use like this using namespace standard. So this varies depending upon our compiler that we use to run our program. So this program is used to show the difference between a signed integer and an unsigned short integer. So in general, integer is number, a natural number, but when we are using short int I, let us see the output how it is specified. So next one is short unsigned integer. Now the value of j is given. I equal to j means this is assignment operator. So the value of j is again copied to I. When we try to display both of them, here int main is used. So keyword return is used at the end of the program with a 0 value. So once this program is compiled, in all the C++ program, it is mandatory to compile the program. Once we complete the program, we have to save it with the .cpp extension in Turbo C++ or whatever versions you are using, and then we need to compile them, and then you have to run the program. The compilation process is, as you know that it is translation of this high level programming to low level, which means it will translate them to machine language so that the machine can understand what you have given in as instructions. So when this program is run, the output is, for the first one you are getting some value with the negation symbol and the other values as such. As we have given here unsigned, the negation has not come. The negative symbol has not come. Whereas in the previous case, by default, the signed integers are taken. And short means it specifies the limitation of its size. So only such value can be taken, limited to that scope. So here we have the range of our values. Char, as I said to you, it is of 1 byte. Unsigned character is 1 byte. Long is 4 byte. The major one is double and long double, which are of 8 bytes. The value ranges from this, that is 0 to 255 or minus 128 to 127. Similarly, for unsigned character, it is 0 to 255. So like this, the range is there. If you go beyond the limit, you will get error while you compile the program and proper output will not be executed. Coming to constants or literals. So these are fixed values which will not be altered any time. So they will not affect the flow of the program. This constant can be used in the case of pi symbol, something like that. Whenever you want some values that has to be used in the program but need not change during the course of the program, then you can refer them as constant. You have variations in constant like integer constant, floating point numeral, character string and booleans. With integer constant, we can also have decimal, octal and hexadecimal constant. So decimal is about base 10 values, octal is for base 8 and hexadecimal is for base 16 values. We can also use 0x representation along with them. For short unsigned symbols, you can use U, and for long integers, you can use L. So if you see the examples, we can understand, as we know that floating points are decimal values, so 3.14, etc. So in that, again, if you go for long variable, long versions, long keyword, then 5L will be represented in your answer. But all others are invalid. Only the first two are valid representation, all others are invalid. Coming to Boolean constant, the concept of Boolean is either true or false. It will turn out to be either true or false, 0 or 1. So 0 refers to false value and 1 refers to true value. Coming to character constants, these character literals are enclosed in single quotes because there is only one alphabet usage will be there. And escape sequences can also be used with a backslash variable. Mostly new line, tab and all will be using in our programs. Mostly these two are used. slash n for new line and slash t for tab value, tab space. Now, to differentiate between string and character, characters are enclosed within single quote, whereas strings are enclosed in double quotes, and it is group of characters. They can also have among that is within the double quotes, anything can be represented. There is no validation for those values. Here all these are valid literal string items like hello dear. We have used a comma because it is between the same double quotes. There is no problem. So no error will be generated. Similarly slash n space whatever it is, that those that are enclosed within double quotes is not at all a problem. Next, the constant keyword. This is used to prefix, as we already discussed, constant value will never change. To make it a constant value, we should use the keyword const, C-O-N-S-T. Then type of the data type of the variable, that is const int I equal to 5, something like that. So here we have used like const int length equal to 10, width equal to 5. Now you want to calculate the area of rectangle, length into width. So we have seen many variable declarations. Now let us go through the rules for declaring a variable in C++. So first of all, any variable should start with the alphabet or underscore, but not with the number. So always it should start with alphabet or underscore. No spaces are allowed in variable declaration. Hello world. Suppose if it is a variable name, then hello world should be written together. There cannot be space between hello and world. That is an invalid representation. Next, except underscore, no other special symbols are allowed in our variable declaration. Then maximum length of the variable is 8 characters, and it varies depending upon your operating system and compiler versions. So every variable name must always should exist in the left hand side of the assignment operator. Suppose a equal to 5 means a is a variable which holds the value 5. So all the assigned values should be on the right side of the operator. No keywords should be used as variable name. For example, int is a keyword. Then we cannot use int as variable name anywhere. Scope of variables. So variable can be either local scope or global scope. Global scope means that variables are accessible outside the program. And to refer them as global, we should always use the access specifier as public. The global variables will hold their value throughout the lifetime of the program. Whereas if we are using local variable, they are declared within the body of a function and it is accessible only within the function, not even to the main function. So they cannot be accessed even to the main function. Local variable only used within the function or block where it is declared. So let us go through this example. Hash include as iostream.h and conio.h. So int a, this is a global variable because we have declared it outside main function. So when anything is declared above the main function is accessible throughout the lifetime of the program. Then b is a local variable as it is declared inside the main function. So inside main function we can access it wherever we need. So when we try to display the value, both A and B are displayed. Now, if you have declared A value as 20 outside main function, and if you try to remodify the value, then the latest version will be taken. So that is the scope of the variable. Thank you.